exactly 6:30. We're going to go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order. Ask for roll call, please.
Here.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bad.
All right, we have minutes from the regular meeting November 13 and special meeting November 13 and November 20.
I move for approval of the November 13th regular meeting minutes and the special meeting of November 13th and also the special meeting of November 20th as written.
Second.
Motion second then for approval of the regular meeting November 13 and special meeting November 13 and November 20th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right. Thank you for those of you that are in attendance. Thank you for those that are watching, listening at home. We'll be as efficient as possible this evening because I know at about 7:15 we'll probably have a drastic drop off on the YouTube attendance. So we will be as efficient as possible, but thank you for tuning in. Nobody has signed up for public comment, and so we will move on to agenda. Motion to approve.
Also move.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right, moving right along. We have 8.1 School of the Month. Come on up. Mr. Wilson.
Presenting on Washington, Illinois.
There's only one thing more important to you tonight, and that's the Packers, but.
Right, I know, Mark said 4 minutes, so.
I did not.
So, greeting board members, fellow administrators, and guests. My name is Paul Wilson. I have the pleasure to be Washington's elementary principal and be the presenter tonight at tonight's board meeting for School of the Month presentation. Slide number 2 kind of overviews what I'm going to talk about tonight. And I'll touch on, so there's 3 school success, or 3 SSPs that support the district plan. 2 of those are academic and 1 is more of an SEL basis. So I'll overview the first 2, which are academic, and not quite spend as much time on those, spend a little more time on the SEL focus, just because I have a little more data at this point of the school year. And then I'll highlight some of the sub-goals that we've been working on at Washington as well. So increasing parental involvement, universal behavior expectations, tighten some things up with that this summer, and consistency this school year. And then again, working on developing our student leaders at Washington. So that's kind of a little overview of what I'm going to discuss. Just to kind of get you caught up, and I know like most school board members have seen this, and I could probably quiz you on the colors, and most of you might pass. But the first color, which is on your far left, is a striped green, and that's mid or above grade level. And then you have the light green color, which is early on grade level. And the yellow, which is a year behind, and then red is 2 years behind, and then the striped red is 2 plus years behind. And really, you don't want to ever see 2 plus color coding on any screener that you give. And I know all the schools are really working on that to eliminate that the kids that are struggling in school. But this is what an iReady diagnostic looks like. And again, this is our screener. We use it 3 times: fall, mid-year, and then spring. So. The first 2 really objectives use this data to measure our progress through the year. So like if I was to present in February or late January, I would have our mid-year data and I could show exactly how that compared to last year. But at this point, all we have is a lot of like teacher SLO data to support that, and I'm really not going to dig into that. But what our objective number 1 is last year we finished the spring year at 68% of our students K-5 that were early on or at grade level. So some grade levels a little higher, some a little lower, and we're going to move that number this spring to 73% as a school. And then also monitor the students with disability subgroup to make sure that they're closing that achievement gap in ELA. So some of the things that we're doing at the school to bolster and support objective number 1. All of our teachers have written student learning objectives, SLOs, that are ELA focused. So like when I sit down with 3rd grade and I go through the progress monitoring data that we have, and I know that there's a phonics goal, and 2nd grade's a phonics goal, and 5th grade's a comprehension goal, and 4th grade working on a writing goal, but all those support ELA in some manner. And they have regular data that we collect and share amongst our staff and that we can look at. I have a number of teachers that actually do interventions. I mean, they do interventions all the time during the classroom, but I have another number of teachers that are actually meeting with students outside of hours. Probably 4 or 5 teachers that do interventions outside the school day. So they have a group of kids, whether it be 2 to 5 kids that are struggling in a certain area, and they'll meet with them on a regular basis. We offer reading incentives, and this is just, we want to have continuation in kids in books all the time. So like over Christmas break, we have a reading incentive. Spring break, we have a reading incentive. During the summer, we have a reading incentive. So we're trying to support literacy year-round rather than just during the school year for some families. So some of those things that we do, it's a continuation. We did have a couple literacy outreach sessions for 1st grade parents, and I'll talk more about that later in the presentation. We have expected grade 3 through 5 reading minutes. So this is something that we do school-wide. There's a minimum expectation of reading outside the classroom, just because we feel like so many kids are on screens and distracted that we set up some consistent minutes. We did this at Wilson years ago when I was there. And the staff agreed upon it this summer at our Guiding Coalition minutes, so we have standard minutes put in place, and then we have a universal writing template, grades 3 through 5 as well. So the RACER model, so there's consistency in the writing process as we move through. So one teacher doesn't have to undo or reteach a different model, there's a little more consistency. So we should see that help us out on, like forward exam tests, that kind of stuff, and just writing in general. And then just this last week, one of the things that was on the back burner this summer was using supplemental iReady reading lessons for some of our kids that needed a little extra support. So we met the last week and a half with Guiding Coalition. We put together a list of kids that we thought could work independently and were either in the yellow or the red on iReady. But again, the key was like the teachers kind of chose those kids, iReady supported it, and they were capable of independent work with computers. So we put together a list, and then Tammy Sether just rostered the kids just a few days ago, and they will start using those interventions as well. So those are the things that we're doing to support SSP number 1. Objective number 2, very similar, math. We had some really, really, really nice math gains last year on iReady and on the forward exam. Last year we ended at 74% at early on or mid-grade level, and now we're going to jump up to 77%. At or early on grade level, so a jump in math. We had Angie Vesey this first term as a math interventionist. She worked really well. We had things set up before school started, so she was working with kids almost immediately. She did a really nice job. We have iReady minutes, and then a number of our staff are trained in some extra interventions, and some of that was organized by Tiffany Sponholtz this summer with that, so I appreciate the math interventions with some of our TAs and staff. SSP number 3, so the board members that attended the coffee chat last Thursday, we dove into this one a little bit more. So I'm not going to click on it, or it says survey results. We talked about the survey that's sent out 4 times a year. So we have 4 data points per class, 2nd through 5th grade. The school perception spreadsheet that I keep track of all the data, so we can compare, basically data point to data point, year to year, and watch those kids move through different cohorts and classes. So that's linked over there. 3 years ago when I started at Washington, and this is the reason for this a little bit, is that the school gave the school perception survey from 5th grade through 12th grade students. And the first year I was there, our 5th grade cohort of students, I thought, frankly, scored really low. So our 5th grade, that spring of 22, that would have been the first year at Washington, it was a 2.7 for the SEL index and a 2.68. And I think really anything under a 3 would be considered unhealthy pockets of kids or maybe unhealthy classrooms So really recognize the need to do something about this. So our SEL team has put in some like targeted monthly SEL activities and some messaging to go along with that. So last year, our 5th grade class, you can see the data point up there, spring of 23, left with an SEL index of 3.42, which was really nice, and then a school connectedness value of 3.31. And then those values below that, they're all above 3. Pretty healthy classrooms in general. And our teachers are able to dig into individual student data too to support kids that maybe there's just a couple kids struggling in a class, dig into that data a little more. But we already have 2 classes that are above our end of year mark of a 3.30. So, we're in pretty good shape with that objective.
Just to be clear.
Yep.
That's based on 1 through 4.
So it's a 1 through 4. We numbered it 1 through 4. It's always is 4, usually is 3, sometimes is 2, and then 1 is never. So the kids respond how they feel. So like our empathy value, there's a question about empathy. We have a couple classes that are right at 4. That means a class of 20 kids or 22 kids, almost every single one answered always, which is great. They care about their fellow students. So like to see those higher numbers. So thanks for asking that question. So that's kind of our 3 SSPs in a nutshell. These are the 4 areas though underneath those SEL indices. There's at least one adult in my school that I can talk to about a personal problem. So to kick the year off, again, school connectedness, getting kids involved in school, wanting them to feel like they belong. So we, as a staff, targeted this, and we wanted every kid by the end of the month to be able to identify 1 or 2 staff that they really felt comfortable talking to. And also to just develop that connectedness right off the bat. So that was September, and then October was conflict resolution, November was dealing with stress, and then just last week, we did a data dig and looked at our numbers already, and then certain grades are going to do some reteaching based off of those numbers in their so kind of a targeted reteaching, and then we cycle through some of those topics in the spring. And there's themed activities, and then I'll message that on those Bulldog Pride Award meetings every Friday. They'll hear a universal message that our staff usually passes on to me, or I work with the staff, and then that they're messaged consistently. So these are some of our sub-goals that I kind of mentioned on the first slide. Parental involvement is huge. So I know like post-COVID, it was like we kind of locked the doors and said you can't come in. And now we're doing everything we can to bring parents back in and develop those stronger school connections and get the parents comfortable within our school doors again. So fun run, that's done a lot at a lot of the schools. Those Friday morning phone calls that I make, we give out, each teacher at Washington gives out a Bulldog Pride Award for excellence in either academics or behavioral expectations, and sometimes our TAs do that as well. So they get a little Bulldog Pride Award, and then I make phone calls on Friday morning, just positive phone calls like, hey, your kid's doing awesome, super proud of them. So, through the course of the year, 40 weeks or so times 15, 20, that's 600, 800 phone calls made throughout the year. So a lot of phone calls made on a regular basis, which over time really help a lot. Donuts with a grown-up, you'll see a slide in a little bit. We just had a holiday family night last week. Last Thursday, we had 250 people attend. Great parent activity, and incorporate a literacy piece with that too. Paint at night we'll do in the spring. January, we're doing a one book, one school. That's where we purchase books, and they'll go home, and then it's basically the students are supposed to read the books with their parents, and then we bring stuff back into school with discussions and other stuff. We're also going to do a book swap that corresponds with that. So we're excited for that to take place, which is again outreach with parents, and then we have a book fair where we're bringing parent or grandparents and do a little luncheon. Again, getting more people into the schools in the spring. So there's just a little picture, all those yummy looking donuts. So good. And then it's cute too, the picture over on the left, see the mom in the blue holding a rake. So we had one of our leadership work bees planned that day, so all the parents were coming into the donuts with the grown-up carrying rakes, so we had a pile of rakes in the cafeteria as well, so. We went through like 285 donuts with parents that morning, and it's a nice, quick activity to get people in the school. First grade literacy events, I'm not gonna read all the details here, but basically what it was is we scheduled the parents to come into the classrooms, the 2 different classrooms, 2 different dates. We had childcare that we set up for that. I individually called parents to invite them and nicely said, this is really, really important. I'd like one parent from each student to attend, and we had a really high turnout as a result. And things that, some of the things, we worked on phonics, and basically the purpose was to, I think, get parents more comfortable with reading with their students, and also kind of go over things that we're doing at the first grade level, kind of educate them a little bit. So though we had a class after school tonight, our Ames Pathway class, and they talk about phonemes and graphemes and all these fancy words, but it's basically sounds and letters, and educating parents on some of those aspects too. So building a comfort level, we got great feedback last year on it. We did it again. It's a great way to get parents in and also get them building that culture of reading within our kids and families to encourage that. Friday morning Bulldog meetings. I think the biggest, well, besides the phone calls, is that each week I get to share a common theme with students and staff at the same time. So they hear a universal message about whatever topic it is. It could be coming from our guiding coalition, coming from our SEL group, coming from our SIT team group, whatever it is, they hear a common message every week. And it's very generally a pretty positive message. There's the Bulldog Pride Awards that get displayed in our display case for a week after we give them out. There's a couple little smiley Bulldog Pride recipients. And student leaders, this is our 3rd through 5th grade student leader group. So they have to apply, the applications are vetted, approved by teachers. Our big activity this fall was a fall cleanup. So I reached out to parents, actually I didn't, Mrs. Kennedy through, reached out for me. And we asked parents to ask us for names of neighbors or someone who could use some help with yard care. And we got some names that way. And I wanted some more names, so I was able to connect with someone at Watermark. So Walmart in town does clean up for people that are elderly, and they had an overflow list this year, so we picked up some of the people on the overflow list. So we were able to do 9 yards in one Friday. I was so sore too, I raked hard. I was trying to be a good model for them. So we did, we had a bus in the morning, we had 4th and 5th graders, we did 5 yards in the morning, and in the afternoon we had 3rd graders, and that's when we walked to 4 more yards within walking distance. We actually have one person I reached out, didn't need help, but I reached out to her. We actually went over to her house and introduced myself, but I wasn't needed there. So I went door to door and kind of explained what was going on, and I wanted to see how big the yards were too before I committed to it. So here's another picture. This is 3rd graders.
Did you have a lot of kids?
It took a lot of work to get them to rake a yard correctly. And still see the little Anyway, we were not the most efficient rakers ever.
Did you have a lot of first-time rakers there?
Oh my gosh, yes. So we did it with 4th and 5th graders first, and by the 3rd, and I'm like quick learner. I'm like, oh yeah, this doesn't work. So the 3rd grade, we walked over and I gave them raking directions before we even started, because it was obvious that not a lot of them had picked up a rake before. It was cute too, because I had lots of parents coming up to me afterwards and saying, we got home and they wanted to rake my yard and they wanted to rake the neighbor's yard. And I was like, awesome. So it definitely planted a seed for a lot of kids. And this is the last slide here. So looking ahead, we've really had similar SSP goals for the last couple of years and just tried to do them better. We're always trying to build a culture of excellence and high achievement, using our student leaders to adults are always trying to message in a positive way within our buildings, but really leveraging those student leaders to influence the peers in the school in a positive way. So we're really working from the inside out, and then as a staff, continuing to reflect, share on, and then, you know, improve school data on a regular basis. And we had a nice jump in the school report card last year. We made some real nice gains in math, but it really helped our school report card out quite a bit. Had a nice jump, so looking forward to continuation of that. Okay, and I'm done. Any questions? Is that 10 minutes?
You did
No, it
awesome.
was longer?
You did awesome.
One question.
Yeah.
Just on the student leaders, are they nominated by the teachers, or do they say they want to be a leader, or how do you?
So we have like, okay, applications for student leaders are opening up. The teachers have the applications. They actually have to like, it's usually a writing, like they have to show how they demonstrate integrity, respect, kindness. And then the teachers screen those.
Okay.
And then they're sent on to our SEL group. And then we send out the master list to the staff, just in case we miss something. And then we have formal training for them by our school counselor. And then our secretary sets up, anyway. And then there's lots of things that they do at the school. So,
I really love the amount of one-on-one reaching out you're doing to parents to get involved. That takes so much time, and it looks like it's bearing fruit for you, so I'm really glad that that's working out. and
well, even
commend you
calling,
on
like
that.
setting up the raking stuff, like, you know, calling the people, going or showing up, looking at their yards, like, yep, we're gonna be here at a certain, I actually had to move the raking day because I had predicted like, it was later than what I had thought. I actually
Yeah.
had to move it back, and then I'd call parents or call people again, and then move that date back because the leaves are just hanging on the trees this year.
If you do it again and run out of folks, there's some school board members who.
Yeah, I'll just say, you know, thanks for having us at the coffee chat. Had a great walkthrough. I know just, you know, talking to the second graders before school, you sent us out there, and you know, you can tell that those kids they feel connected to that school, and just with talking with them, you know, they feel very comfortable at school, and that's commendable. So thank you for that. And you know, also I couldn't agree more about the parent involvement being extremely important. And as we obviously transition from, you know, 2 schools into 1, I hope we continue to keep pushing that train. And you know, it is so important. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, moves us to 8.2, District Safety Drill Report. Mr. Work, welcome.
Good evening, Pete Warwick, District Facilities and Safety Officer. What you have to do as a board every year is, according to Wisconsin Statute 118.07, there's 5 separate things that we have to upload on the SharePoint of the Wisconsin Office of School Safety website, which is ran by the Department of Justice. The first is a school safety plan. Every year we have to have a safety plan in the SharePoint, but only every 3 years does the school board have to approve it. So the last approval was 11 July of 2022. So you're up again in 2025 for an approval. So there should be some recommendations coming in a few years. The second thing is the school violence drills, which you, of course, have in your board packet, and that's what we're approving tonight. Once Mark signs them and the board president signs them, I'll upload them into the SharePoint. Third thing is a school safety plan training. We did that this year on 10 August of 2023. We had a presentation for all administrators, then they brought that training back to each of the buildings. The fourth thing is local law enforcement agency on site for safety assessments at each one of our buildings. We normally do that every spring break, so when everyone's gone, it's a good time to do that. So myself and the 3 SROs did that in March of 2023, and I believe going forward that is a good recommendation. And last but not least, the blueprints or maps must be uploaded, and we do that yearly. We always are uploading and improving our maps. So tonight, I'm looking for an approval of the school violence drills, and we'll get those uploaded once approved.
Any questions for Pete? Otherwise, look for a motion for approval.
I make a motion to officially receive and approve the confirmation of the drills as submitted.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you. Graduation pathways.
Good evening. This evening, we'll go over a little bit of information, just updating the board on where we are with some of our pathways to graduation that we've been working on since before my time here, but certainly in the last 4 years of my time here. And Mr. Tronson is with me. I'm his sidekick today, so I'm going to lead things off, and he'll bring the juice a little bit later. So the first thing that we're looking at today is just what are we talking about when we talk about pathways to graduation. So our traditional pathway to graduation are the board-approved courses that students take for credit, right? So the social studies courses, math courses, elective courses that we have. Also in traditional credits, we might have some students that need virtual learning options to earn their credits, and we partner with Jedi Virtual for that. So that's our traditional credit pathways. Other pathways that we look at are non-traditional credit earning, which might be work experience, so credit for work experiences, youth apprenticeships, early college credit and start college now, which would be tech school or university credits. We also have advanced courses like AP, and as I mentioned, dual credit or CAP that we offer those would be those offerings in our building, the dual credit offerings in our building. And then certifications that students can earn through courses. So those are kind of in addition to the traditional pathways that students might follow. We also have at-risk programs, and that's what we've really worked on in the last few years. So we offer with that guided support, which is a class that supports students in other academic areas, really mentors students and supports them. Blended learning is where we might have some online courses or part-time in the seat, offering some flexibility for students. Credit recovery for students that are behind in credits for whatever reason. GED option 2 we offer on-site, which allows students to receive a diploma through demonstrating competencies on assessments. And then we also have a competency pathway in our at-risk programs, where we have different methods that students can show that they meet the same standards as they might in other courses, but do so in another way. And that's really open for mostly our seniors, although sometimes maybe end of the year juniors in that pathway. So again, when we look at pathways to graduations, we kind of have these 3 buckets of how students can gain credit. Just a little bit of a history. We have long-standing used dual credit opportunities in our high school, as well as AP courses, et cetera, that we've just discussed. Youth apprenticeships. Beaver Dam has a long history of offering awesome youth apprenticeships and really making that an emphasis. And then recently, we've looked at-risk programming updates. Came to you as a board a few months in to my time here, and we've really worked at enhancing our at-risk programming pathways and making sure that we offer relevant pathways to students that the traditional schooling might just not fit. As a review, I showed you some data earlier, but just to see how we're doing, advanced courses, this is from the report card that just came out. However, that data is always a year old, so this is what the report card shows, is from 21-22, but that's on this year's report card. 14.4% of our students were taking advanced courses, or successfully completed. 25.5% in dual enrollment, and then we also have 3.6 earning credentials or certificates in one way or another. As well as just this little breakdown here of where we are with current AP numbers and numbers of exams. And as I talked to you about before, we see some kind of up and downs in numbers, but realizing that our high school enrollment has gone down over the years a little bit. So even though the numbers go down, in some cases our percentages have actually increased, just depending upon the area. And we can say the same for what we have here for advanced placement courses, dual credit, and then industry recognized credentials. We don't have that data for we can't project the data yet for industry recognized credentials because students often add that on to certain courses that they're taking, but we have a reasonable projection, for this year in AP with 174 enrolled in at least one course. Many are enrolled in multiple. And then we have almost 400 enrolled in at least one dual credit CAP or dual credit course, which is which is a significant jump from what we've seen recently. I want to highlight the work that we talked about with our at-risk pathways, among other work that we've been doing in trying to best serve students and be preventative. Our graduation rate, this is again is a year old, 21-22 data. We know, we believe that data is creeping up yet again, but we've been around 82 to 86% in our graduation rate. We looked at that at-risk pathway work, and we've gotten a school district graduation rate a year ago to 93.8%. We want 100, but that is also something that we can celebrate, and what we're doing and how we're investing our time is working for students. Because something to highlight there is we did not lower the bar for graduation. What we did is we created other pathways for students to show their learning in order to meet graduation. It'd be really easy to have that jump up to 100 if we didn't care about students, if we just lowered the bar, right? We did not do that. This is a pathway or a diagram I show you every year. When you looked at it about 4 years ago, you first adopted this as our at-risk pathways, again, we've mentioned many of those pathways. And then we kind of keeping track on how we're doing and how we're making progress in these and what are we phasing in. So the things in green up there we've had going for a few years. They were kind of part of the original plan. Things in yellow we're getting better at and we've implemented more recently. As I mentioned before, the Competency in GEDO 2 program. Also interventions that are more preventative to try to prevent students from being credit deficient. Those should be able to turn green in the next year. Two things that the board has approved, but we haven't necessarily dove into or been able to implement in our progression are an off-site alternative program and a work-based program for students to earn credit. So we're going to talk a little bit about where we're going with that in a moment. So next steps for us are on the right there is to develop that school to career and alternative program. And on the left, we're going to continue to advance our skilled trades partnerships. So I'm going to stop being the sidekick and let the boss come up and talk about the skilled trades partnerships.
Good evening. About a couple weeks ago now, we had an opportunity to meet with a bunch of local skilled trades potential partners. They reached out actually to Mr. DiStefano through basically connecting over a student who unfortunately passed away this fall, who was working with a trades company. They felt compelled based on their experience with that student that they wanted to honor that student and potentially do something in his name, but B, also look at how do we get more high school students involved in the local specialty trades. So we had a little kind of meet and greet meeting. Like I said, a couple weeks ago, we invited in, I think we had 5 partners come in, representing electricians, plumbing, HVAC, general contracting, all the in-between specialty painting as well. And we sat down and we talked about what we currently offer at Beaver Dam High School. And I kind of explained to them how youth apprenticeships work and how students can get involved in that based on what partners we have in our local area to partner up with. That meeting went very well. They immediately agreed to meet again coming up here after the new year. They want to come in and do some presentations, some lunch and learns with students where we can advertise to students, sign up for this lunchtime, come in, we'll have your lunch there, you sit and get to meet and greet with some of the different trades and kind of learn about how that all works. Secondly, they want to do some classroom visits when it works for them, possibly coming in and doing demonstrations for the kids in the classroom or helping them with specific skills. And then the last piece is, one for sure was like, I think we want to do youth apprenticeship, The others are interested but want to learn more. So that's going to be the focus of our next meeting, is we'll bring in our consortium folks from CISA 6 that will come in and kind of answer a lot of their finite questions about insurance liabilities, how does this all work with OSHA, and all those things that they should be worried about, having potential minors working in the workplace. So we're rather excited about that. Our tech ed team is rather excited about that because they've been trying to foster some of that. But as you know, they're very busy folks too. And so this opportunity presented itself, and we were very excited to jump on that.
As far as the school to career and alternative programs under the at-risk pathway, we have not drug our feet on implementing that. That's just very challenging to do, and it's quite a feat to think about off-site programming, workplace partners, and we recently found an opportunity. Mr. Tronson was very pivotal in that and brought that to my attention. So we are looking at developing a pathway that would be open to students in grades 11 through 12 that would be open to but not exclusive to students that are identified as at risk. It may fit some of those students, but it wouldn't be limited to those students. They would be participating off-site, doing a half a day competency-based education program. So similar to what we're doing, they would work at their own pace and meet our graduation requirements through demonstrating competency. So they would go, they would be getting all of their core area instruction that we need them to. And then about half of a day, they would be working with a mentor and be developed into a youth apprenticeship. So they would be, again, half of a day in whether it be the morning or the afternoon, getting that core learning done, and then this potential partner that we have would work with us and help them find a youth apprenticeship that matches their area of interest and help manage that aspect and make sure they're getting coaching on the job as well. The students' advantage to this is we are looking at a partner to do this. The advantage is this partner has extensive experience in doing this for over 25 years and has had a lot of success. But we're able to have somebody kind of do this lift with us, but also have the students remain BDHS students. So they can remain not only just on our account, but more importantly, they can remain in athletics, have access to all of our programming that we may offer. So it's just, they're not going to be going to Beaver Dam High School, they're going to be going to an off-site location to work on their academics and then also have that seamlessly transition into a youth apprenticeship. We're looking for possible 24-25 implementation for that, if not 2025-2026. But again, this is a pathway that the board has already approved. We just haven't had the opportunity to develop, and there's a partner out there we found doing the work and can reasonably support us in that adventure, as well as potentially other area students. Russ, would you like to expand on that opportunity at all?
It's, like Rob said, it's a very well-developed program. It's been around for a long time. But prior to me coming to this district, I was engaging in the process of bringing it to my last district. And then unfortunately I left, and then unfortunately the partner that we were going to be with, they sold their company to a European company, so it kind of dissolved. But the outlook for the Beaver Dam area is very high right now, which is good. And so we really believe that this would be a great benefit, not only for our students, but for our community as well. The youth apprenticeship thing is key with that. That helps these kids get on that career path and that transition and work towards becoming gainfully employed. And a lot of these kids, we had the opportunity to meet some in one of the centers, and those kids are like, I see the same kids walking in our halls and go, man, if they had this program, they'd be just like these kids. They're motivated. They have their eye on the pie, and they're ready to graduate and be a productive member of society. And I think the reason why they like it is they're pulled out of the regular school environment. And what you hear from a lot of them is, I didn't really like all that noise going on at the school. I didn't like the chaos or the drama or whatever they would say. And they like going into a workplace, getting their education at the workplace, and then going right to work. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win.
I would add that this program is something, again, that is open to but not exclusive to at-risk students, but it is a program that students would have to apply for and interview for. Obviously, competency-based education, off-site programming, and youth apprenticeships aren't for everybody. We have a certain obligation to make sure that that is a positive fit for both the student, the workplace, as well.
And it's a seamless program, so like, let's say we have kids currently in our competency-based program or in a regular classroom setting right now and they move into this program, all of that stuff transfers in, and then let's say they get into that program and things don't work well for them, it would transfer back out to us and we would have a seamless transition for them, so there's like no stopgap in service.
With our update there, we would entertain any questions or comments that the Board of Education would have at this time, but thank you very much for listening to our update.
How many students did you think you could serve with this program?
That is kind of up to us. We're projecting about 10 to 15 students that we would invest in this, at least to get going.
And you think that's about the level of interest you'll have too? Yeah.
And just so folks are understanding too, when we say offsite, it's at a location, right, where there's a business, right? That's capable of serving students that might be in a youth apprenticeship partnership, but it's not exclusive to that site. So in other words, if you're partnered with a local business or industry that's going to host this experience for our students, those students are also able to go and have their youth apprenticeship experience at any other site. The expectation or part of the partnership ideally is that they're able to receive a certain number of whatever that cohort might be, but students aren't necessarily fit or obligated to only have their experience there. So it's very nice in that it's not necessarily entertaining a competitive reality whereby a host business, would win in that they've got access to our students and nobody else does. That's not how it works. It's about a kind of a shared partnership. The other perspective opportunity I would say with this too is that if we're able to seal the deal on this journey, it creates other opportunities for other students in Dodge County. And while that's not necessarily our specific charge and focus, it's a great value add to the whole region. In that other schools, other high school students in the region would have the opportunity to also kind of co-partner in, and they would stay their students. We manage our experience with our students in our cohort, but as we saw on the site we visited, it's really kind of a nice marriage and opportunity to serve the greater region, which I think is a value add for a lot of our employers.
For us and I would say, our employers. I think that's a really good point, Mark, is based on our size, this is a really exciting opportunity for our area, for the businesses and for students that need this. And, if we didn't move forward with this, those other districts may not have the opportunity just based on the size that we can and the amount of students that we could offer in this potential cohort.
But you said they would remain the students of the district that they're coming from?
Yep, yeah, everything, they would have a caseworker or liaison, whether it be a counselor or otherwise from their district, working with their students, managing the details of their specific youth apprenticeship experience. That's part of the program. But they would be, we'll say, taking class with some of our students. So let's say the class could hold, 20 and 12 of them were from Beaver Dam. That would mean that there could be, again, I'm throwing numbers out, but there could be 8 other placement opportunities available to other schools and smaller high schools. That would be a value add to those kids as well.
Some of the centers around the state oftentimes will run an AM session and a PM session, so they can run 2 cohorts in a day. Again, depending on the desired, amount of students that we bring in. The key thing too is these apprenticeships also count for us too. So we get credit for those apprenticeships. Most of the employers will take maybe 2 kids because then they're paired up with a mentor in the workplace, and oftentimes, depending on the scope of the workplace, they might do rotations of like 8 weeks in this part, 8 weeks in this part. so the kid gets the full experience, because maybe they'll realize, well, I like doing this over that, and things like that, so they're not locked into one assembly line operation or whatever it might be, depending on. And it could be everything from IT to manufacturing, to some of the skilled trades that we talked about, to automotive, like it's all encompassing.
So what does the staffing look like from the district?
The district doesn't really provide, at this point, is not gonna provide anything. They have their own instructors, they're licensed through DPI, they have vocational license to be able to do all the workplace learning stuff, and, yeah. They-
So for the classroom portion to it, is their employee teaching that?
Correct,
Usually
yes, so,
two people.
yeah,
Okay.
they'll have a certified instructor, and then that works with students, and then they'll have the mentor and the youth apprenticeships supervisor. So certainly there's a fee for students, but when we look at the per student fee, it would be very comparable to
It's not cost prohibitive.
it,
all.
correct, yeah.
So our obligation really has to do with kind of the case manager, somebody who's going to be, and like a liaison for the school and the experience, and kind of keep an eye on the students and make sure that, you know, they've got that connection back and is working with the instructors there, particularly when we talk with some of the students. I mean, some of the students, you know, were, you know, on one of the sports teams or involved in another activity outside of school, so they help make sure that that experience is supported, because sometimes they need to leave early to go to get a bus or whatever that is, and they kind of help. So, not a teacher or something like that, more of a liaison, or somebody that would have some of those students on their caseload to support them.
And we would still provide counseling services,
Sure.
all those sorts of things that we would any student in any one of our programs.
And the businesses, I just want to make sure that the girls are able to apply for the same positions, and
Absolutely.
the businesses are willing, you know, because I know Maria's a electrician, right? And she's had, you know, sometimes you get different attitudes to that, and I just want to make sure that, you know, if they have somebody who really expresses an interest, that.
Absolutely.
60/40, the one center we were at, like 60% boys, 40% females.
Oh,
And so, and they were, yeah, they work in all the different
okay.
businesses.
Is there an age requirement for the youth apprenticeships?
Is there a what?
Age? They have to be 18?
For youth
No.
apprenticeships. For this program, it's juniors and seniors, but
Yeah.
youth apprenticeships,
It depends on the scope of the work.
In the center, yep.
Most kids engage at junior year, 16, 17 years old.
the program being competency-based, they don't, obviously, and then you're in certain workplaces, you have to be a certain age to work in, right? You have to be above 13, but then certain have higher requirements. But then also it's a competency-based program, so they want students to be freshman, sophomore year, potentially even junior year, before they decide that this competency route is the way to go.
And we can also, from my experience, let's say we get our cohort going at the beginning of the school year, but halfway through the year, we have a student that we come up on that maybe is right for the program, we can get them into at different points in the year too.
At this point for next year, if we're able to work with our partner to get this going for next year, it may be another year out, but we're very hopeful that we can provide this opportunity. Next year, we'd be looking at likely a mixture of juniors and seniors in our recruiting process, just so that we don't just start, say, fully with juniors and then we start all over the following year, right? And same thing for this provider. They have to have some reasonable predictability from us about what is coming, because they're a nonprofit partner putting a lot of stake in the game as well.
Okay. I think I'd like to make a motion that, just affirming the direction that you're moving with these pathways, so you know, so everybody knows that the board supports this direction.
I'll second it. All right, so we have a motion and a second then from the board, with approval of the graduation pathways as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. Sounds good.
Thank you very much for your time, support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, reports by the board. We will start out with student rep report. Gracielle.
Okay, So the month of December has been pretty busy for a lot of the high school service organizations. So starting off, Key Club started the month by volunteering at Lincoln Elementary, where the school hosted a movie night, and the members that volunteered were responsible of taking care of the students throughout the movie, so refilling their drinks, giving them snacks, like that sort of thing. The next day, on December 2nd, Beaver Dam hosted the holiday walk, and different companies and local businesses participated during the walk by creating activities and crafts for community members. And Key Club volunteers took part at the Watermark, where they crafted holiday headbands, festive ornaments, and reindeer food from about 10 a.m. to 2. Several members helped out at the American Bank to organize shelves of toys, and last Saturday, these same members arrived back at the bank in order to help load trucks to help provide many children with the opportunity to get toys for the holidays. And throughout the rest of the month, many students have signed up to volunteer to ring bells for the Salvation Army at Walmart. And their next day, I believe, is this Saturday, starting as early as 9 a.m. The Beaver Dam Holiday Walk also gave members of the FFA an opportunity to reach out to the community. The FFA advisor reports that over 225 children visited the FFA Animal Experience, where the children were able to interact and learn about the various animals kept at the high school. At the beginning of the month, 9 FFA members attended the National FFA Convention in Green Bay, and 4 members attended the Wisconsin Farm Bureau Agriculture Leadership Summit in Sauk City. As the weather starts to cool down, the Moraine Park Technical College is looking for volunteers to help out with the Second Harvest food distribution. And this month, FFA members woke up pretty early and did their part in the distribution. A new club started this year at the high school, and they've been pretty busy, especially this month. It's called the Latino Hispanic Club, and they've been pretty hard at work planning the upcoming free family movie night, and they'll be playing the movie Elf in Spanish with English subtitles. And they'll also be doing a craft that those that attend will be able to take home after. And in the later months, they're planning on taking tours of the police and fire stations, as well as using the high school field house for open gym times to play indoor soccer when it's available. The Beaver Dam High School's music department also has a full month ahead. The high school band has a concert this Wednesday starting at 7:30 in the high school auditorium. The band also performed at the Beaver Dam Holiday Parade, playing sleigh ride throughout the town. The BDHS Orchestra and jazz bands also have a concert next week, Monday. And at the start of the month, the BDHS choirs sang throughout Beaver Dam's holiday walk and caroled at community members' doors. And then I also have a food drive update, and it looks like the Beaver Dam School District brought in a bunch of food for the district-wide food drive. And in total, it looks like all the schools combined collected over 10,000 pounds of food. And then the food was distributed to multiple food pantries with the help of volunteers from all different clubs. I believe Key Club and Student Council helped with that as well.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. So I was trying to keep count, and we were doing, the students are involved in so many things, I lost count, but there's like 15 plus opportunities that our students are helping out in different aspects of our community, along with a real busy holiday season where we have various holiday concerts going on. So I really appreciate all the involvement that our students give back to our community. It's greatly appreciated, and thank you very much for the update, Graciela. Operations and teaching and learning did not meet. We are meeting regular schedule again back on January 22nd. We did get together on the, what date was that? November 20th. We did get together, and representatives from PRA and our construction outfit CG Schmidt provided a presentation on our district facilities master planning. Plans included updates and improvements to Washington Elementary School, a solution for the middle school, and other district-wide improvements related to safety, playgrounds, and ADA accessibility. They reviewed a history of the middle school and detailed options for renovations or replacement and the costs associated with each option. Washington Elementary, we went over a Phase 1 and Phase 2 renovation option, along with explanation of the costing model for both. Phase 1 would support transition of students from Wilson Elementary, and Phase 2 would include that and other larger scale updates and renovations to support long-term future of Washington Elementary School. Feedback was shared from meeting with staff at both middle school and Washington Elementary School, and a community survey will be distributed in the spring of 2024. Board members had an opportunity to provide interactive feedback during that presentation. So we did that on November 20th. I'd open it up to the board. Any other comments or additional feedback from the presentation on November 20th?
I just thought it was a good workshop. We had, seen all the ideas and what things could or could not look like, and it actually gets you thinking about a few other opportunities that may arise from it, and maybe, it was just nice forward movement on it, and looking forward to seeing more as things evolve.
Yeah, and I like that, if you look back, historically, every about 4 years, we've done a study, right? We've made improvements, we'd go and do a study, we see where we're at, right? We put a plan together, right? We initiate that plan, we come back and do another study. So we have really, over the course of the time, really done a good job of planning and then actualizing. And I think that's really important. So as we continue to plan for this next episode of possible actualization, it's good to see us continuing to move through that process. Any other further updates from the board, comments on the workshop?
If I could, just real quickly, Chad, there'll be more information that'll be shared with the community, but the dates have been set for some additional community informational sessions that'll be held in a few different locations. So there'll be 2 community informational sessions held at the Watermark. One's on January 25th, and one is on January 30th. There will also be 2 informational sessions held at Beaver Dam Middle School. These are all open to the public. One is on February 22nd, and the other is March 2nd. And then we're also going to host a community informational session at Washington Elementary School on February 27th. So there's a number of other touch points and engagements that we'll have as we try to just make sure that people have information and can ask questions. But those 5 are wide open to anybody in the community, and there's a couple of different time slots as well as one weekend opportunity to help accommodate people's schedules. So encourage folks that might have questions or wonderments about the facility planning process and where we're at to join us there, and there'll be more information that's shared widely and publicly soon regarding those opportunities.
Those opportunities be on our website?
Absolutely.
That's a good answer. All right, perfect. Anything else on the workshop review? All right, board engagement opportunities for the board members to share out engagement opportunities they participated in since our last board meeting. I open it up to the board.
This is a half engagement, half recognition. I popped into that FFA animal experience, and I was just super impressed with the organization and the involvement. Those kids had tables set up all down the hallway with different animals, and I even touched the snake, and my husband declined to touch the snake. But I was so impressed with how comfortable the kids were talking to the little kids that were there and the parents, and just the organization of the event, and Mr. Gansky standing at the door, promoting the next FFA event to come to the greenhouse and just everyone was excited to be there and happy to actually engage with the kids. And I'm sure that everyone there had a really great time. So super impressed with that, as well as the number of kids that are participating all through the community. That was just the one I happened to see that day.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Yeah, I since our last meeting, let's see here, I went to a girls' basketball game versus Watertown. About a week or so after that, another girls' basketball game, but this one had the school-wide 4th graders district-wide fourth graders, I'm sorry, singing the national anthem. And then you add Benny the Beaver riling these kids up, and that gym gets loud. So Benny's there in front of all the fourth graders, and they are screaming. And then he goes wheeling off on his little cart, and it gets quiet. And he comes back in front of them and starts waving the flag, and it gets loud again. So, anyhow, big shout out to Mrs. Plock for the wonderful job that she did. The kids the national anthem sounded wonderful. Let's see. After that, we had the School of the Month coffee chat the other day. Big shout out to the kids in the kitchen. They made some cinnamon rolls, and they did not skimp on the cream cheese frosting, so that was delicious. And then I also went to the boys' basketball game the other night, which they also had youth night for Positively Hoops. So.
Anybody else?
And I was at the Washington School of the Month, so thanks for that. It was a good morning.
And we'll move right into recognitions. Anybody have any additional recognitions they'd like to share?
I think that Grace mentioned these, but I just want to recognize the students. There were a lot of students at the Second Harvest Mobile Food Pantry early Saturday morning again in pretty bad weather, so appreciate their help. It was FFA, NHS, and girls hockey that I saw.
Really early is like what time?
Well, some of them come around 6. I don't know if that, did they get there that early? Yeah. So that's pretty early.
In high school time, that's like 3 in the morning.
Yeah, for sure, with little sideways rain, so.
Graciela also mentioned, the amount of food that was collected through the school district. I mean, 10,730 pounds. I'd like to see us pile up 10,730 pounds of food right here just to visualize the amount of food that is. And so, a really, huge shout out to our district overall. I mean, we've done it, year after year, and year after year, I'm more and more amazed on how much food is distributed to our community. So really great appreciation of that. Anybody else?
I just want to recognize Greg. He has been a busy person, not only with all the things he does for the regular school district, but for the other organizations like the Red Kettle Concert or the Beaver Dam Area Orchestra Concert. And he's so level. I mean, he doesn't get stressed out, it doesn't seem like. So thanks a lot, Greg. Appreciate everything.
Yeah.
Very nice. You're the person in the back that makes sure everything is working
Exactly.
just how it should. So thank you for that.
You guys nailed it. Great job. The recognitions covered everything. I just want to echo too the amount of work our staff put in just coordinating things, whether it's the middle school fine arts night or some of the other events that Graciela was talking about. A lot goes into it. A lot of time. Very, very appreciated, and I know that it's important. Value and experience for our community to have these wonderful things taking place, particularly during this time of year. And they do a lot of lifting behind the scenes, so our kids have these opportunities. So thank you.
All right, with that, I move on to 10.
I move the board recess into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85. Paren 1, Paren C, concerning employment, promotion, compensation, performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically to discuss specific employees.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to move into closed session. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 All right, we'll go into a closed session and be back. Do not feel obligated like you have to stay here. You may go home and watch the Packer game, and we'll be joining everybody soon. Good. All right, we're back in open session. We'll move on to 12 district policy and guidelines with 12.1.
There's one resignation for your consideration tonight.
I move the board approve the resignation as presented.
Second.
All right, motion in a couple seconds to approve the resignation is presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right,
There are 3 leaves of absence for your consideration tonight.
I move the board approve the leaves of absence as presented.
Second.
motion a second then to approve the leaves of absence is presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign. All right,
I am recommending the following appointments. Alicia Bishop, English Language Arts teacher at the middle school for a long-term sub from February 28th to the end of the school year. Casey Conger in special education at the high school. That's a long-term sub from the end of November to, well, it's already passed, almost past 12/15. And then a second one that would be January 23rd through February 15th. Abigail Craven, art teacher at the high school, starting second semester. That's an FTE role. Hannah Casper, special education teacher for Jefferson Elementary. That start date would be second semester. Julie Laborde, grade 4 teacher for Washington Elementary. That's a long-term sub from March 11th to April 8th. Annie Lemonis, grade 4 teacher for Jefferson Elementary School. That would be an FTE position starting January 2nd. And then Donald Troy Marshall, District Facilities and Safety Officer. Start date would be January 8th.
I move the board approve the appointments as presented.
Second.
motion a second to approve the appointments as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Payment of claims.
I move for payment and claims in the amount of $3,371,201.31.
Second.
Motion a second then to approve payment of claims. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 And a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Motion a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those not, same sign.